Okay, it's April 23rd, 2014, and this is a review of the Treasuries markets for today. It's probably really important to kind of go back for today and kind of talk a little bit about context in terms of what's been happening throughout the day. You can see here, kind of at the market open that there's this range that was formed in all three markets, and the price on really all three contracts was hitting in really heavy at the top of the range pretty much through most of the day. And that's important context to know, because what you have here, and you can see an example of this right now, right here on 28, you have a situation where the bulls are really trying to aggressively move the price up through the market. They were able to keep the price up high for most of the day, and that served as a good base for a move breaking up through the Globex highs or through the high of the day later on that I'll talk about and get to. I did catch a little bit of that trade, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here, and you can see 43.78 contracts. It's 8:24 in the morning. You can see here in the profile 12,564 at 28. And basically what you see is, as I scroll through this really fast, you can just see the volume that is that the bulls are hitting in. The bulls are very aggressive, trying to hit in here the 7,400 contracts. I mean, just all day the bulls were hitting in here, and the bears were able to really keep the bulls from going anywhere, but it also served to trap them for the later move. And you can see the bears bringing it down here a little bit, kind of expanding the range a little bit. But again, we'll see them pop right back up here again. 26.5 was a interesting spot. So the other thing that was interesting is that every time the bulls on the ZN were kind of threatening to push through the high. So here's an example where it's kind of threatening, and it was very tempting to want to place a trade here. But almost every single time, you can see here on the ZB, the ZB was kind of sitting way low. So I really didn't expect the ZN to go until the ZB looked like it was ready to go as well. The ZB has kind of been stuck in its range, and the ZF always kind of breaks through its range a bit. So it's not surprising that would have a little bit of a range extension. So you can see here it breaks through the Globex high, but it really doesn't go that far. It goes a couple ticks, and then the bears start coming in. You can see the bears here are absorbing this, and you'll see them start to hit back in here in a second. Here you go. They're starting to backtick already. I really thought about possibly placing a kind of a pullback trade here, but just looking at the ZB contract, I wasn't really convinced that we were going to break anywhere significantly here, so I ended up canceling my orders. So we can just kind of see how the price action is playing out here. Possible fade trade here because the ZB wasn't following, but I'm not a fader, so I'm not looking for those kinds of trades. So I'm going to pause again and kind of fast forward again. Again, you can see the amount of volume that the bulls are have here. I mean, just look over here on the bull side, just all the way up through here, lots of contracts that were bought up through this area from 27.5 all the way up to 29.5. A lot of bull strength. And as we move forward here, again, the price comes back down. We can see these ranges, this range area that's getting formed pretty much between 26.5 and 28.5. And there was a time right through here where I was really tempted, I think right through, possibly right through here, or maybe one more attempt down. I was very tempted to get in at 26.5. I think right through here. I kind of kicked myself for not getting in here on a live trade. You can see I got in here on a SEM trade, and I ended up break even. I thought it would go back up through the range, and it came back, and I got out of break even. But I wasn't quite prepared to take this trade live because it's in the middle of the range, and so I try to avoid trades that are in the middle of the range, even though this looked promising because there was a nice step here. So it probably would have worked out for a couple of ticks, and a possible trade I should be looking at, a setup I should be looking at in the future. So I'm just going to fast forward through this a bit more. You can see where I got out. But price really turned around. So actually I jumped forward too fast here. So you can see price really jumped around, popped up through the high again. And again, the bears kind of fight them back. So, we come up here, gets up here to 30.5. You see all the bulls come in, and the bears are just absorbing all this, and then they start knocking it back down again by selling actively in here. You can see the fight here, between the bulls and the bears here in the in the strength meter. Now, also take note, it's 10 o'clock, and what happened here, what caused this big move to happen in this kind of fast price action, was actually a news report. And so, of course, I'm not trading news reports either, so really just sitting to let this play out and see if a setup happens. So we can see here, kind of a defined range now in the ZN and pretty much everywhere. So you can see over here in the ZB, we've got this defined range here from 09. 09 seems to be kind of an important step. 26.5 down here is an important step. It probably won't get down that far. And what we're going to see now is we're going to see a lot of volume build up right here at 30 and 30.5. And this volume buildup is going to lead to a possible setup. I thought it was very interesting that as price came down here, I got very interested in trades right through here. And part of it was because seeing the bulls stop things right here at 29.5, you can see that they absorbed these 2,000 contracts and then they firmed up. And just seeing also, again, over here on the ZB, you had a very clearly defined step, and price at 09 was holding pretty well. And this is where I thought, okay, this is really interesting, because if you look at what's happening, we're trading up here again at the top, 1,900 contracts on the sell side, 17 so far here, but this 26.75 was pushed up, and then you can see in the strength meter the bulls are starting to follow their trades. And I thought, with this support right here at 09 and ZB, with a chance that it's going to push up to at least the Globex high again, and here we are, tapping into 30, 30.5, thinking about 31. This is where I thought it was a very interesting time to pay attention. So I was looking at these areas very closely and kind of keeping an eye on the strength between the bulls and the bears. So I'm going to fast forward here to right around the time that I was looking for my trade setup, which is right about here. So I'll just play from here, and you can see these two nodes here at 30, 30.5. You can see the strength here on the bull side. The bulls are hitting in here. It looks like they're going to want to run it. We've come back down here and stopped again at 09, and 1,400 contracts hit in here at 30.5. And I was really excited to see this right down here, where before the bulls would push it up and the bears would kind of win the book. In this case, what's happening is the bulls are pushing it up, and then they're also strengthening the book to follow their offers. And you can see that they tapped up there. They did get pulled back here, but there's not as much conviction in the book. In fact, let me just kind of pause it right here. The reason I entered here was as much about the fact that the bulls were hitting in as also the lack of conviction in the book for the bears on the ZN. And then I saw the conviction over here on ZB and also over here on ZF. They're about to break through their step on the upper side here. ZB looks like it's about to break through its step here at 11, possibly run up to 14 and even further. And for me, it was just kind of a good shot to take here at 31. I was leaning here really on 30.5, 30. If it came down here to 29.5, for sure, I'm definitely out of that. But I thought for sure 30 would hold. And so, sure enough, as we'll watch here, price really jumped up. What I was hoping for and looking for was a puke out, because we had so many bears that throughout the day had been absorbing orders all up in this upper region. And that's what I was talking about. Context is that the bulls were actively hitting in, the bears were absorbing those, the bulls kept it up there throughout the day, and you just kind of know that if they are able to take this and push this up through with any degree of momentum, all those bears are going to start puking out, and that's exactly what happens. Now, my mistake is I exited early. I exited with 3 ticks, and I should have had 6, maybe 7 ticks. So instead of watching the order flow to exit, I got excited about my 3 ticks and exited out. You can see I'll end up joining this iceberg here, and I ended up getting out at 05, and you'll see it goes really much higher than that. And there's no reason, if you look here in the split profile, just no reason at all for me to exit. There was no real selling strength coming back in. In fact, even here, the selling strength is good, but, the bulls are still really, really aggressive right up here. And we'll see here in a minute a very large bear orders come through here, and that's probably a good time to exit. Here we go. Yeah, so this is a good time to exit at, 02.5 versus mine at, 0.5, and I made that mistake. I exited early. I didn't watch the order flow. I got excited about my ticks instead of really looking the order flow for exit. So that was my bad.